If you're playing The Legend of Khiimori and feel like you're hitting a wall, running out of resources, or simply feeling like your character is too weak, I've been there. Most of the time, the problem isn't a lack of skill or a lack of grinding. There are hidden items in this world that completely change the way you play. So today, we're gonna fix that. These are the 10 secret items that will make you much stronger, and some of them you can get quite early if you know exactly what to do. I'm Mary, and the video is about to start. Healing tonics are probably the most neglected item by those starting out in The Legend of Khiimori, and also the one that causes the most regret when you realize you should have paid more attention to it from the start. Your horse isn't just a means of transport. He's your partner, your main equipment, and without him in top shape, you simply cannot play. Serious illnesses and injuries don't just go away with time, they accumulate. And when an attribute is permanently lost, there's no way to get it back without the right tonic at the right time. Their crafting system is directly linked to map exploration, which is one of the things I like most about this mechanic. You can't get the materials just anywhere. Specific medicinal plants appear in specific biomes, canyons, wetlands, and in the deserts south of Fisher Asun. The game forces you to truly know the map, to understand where each resource lives. And this transforms every exploration expedition into something with a dual purpose, completing missions and stocking up materials for future survival. You craft them in the C menu, simple and direct, but the real work lies in the strategic collection before that. What really takes healing tonics to another level is the division between thermal versions and general healing. The thermal version protects your horse against weather extremes, the intense cold of the mountains and the brutal heat of the desert. The general healing version treats everyday injuries and diseases. This means you need to have both types in your inventory depending on the route you're facing. Entering a snowy region without a thermal tonic is a mistake you only make once, because afterward you understand that the climate in this game has real and permanent consequences for your animal. The most valuable tip I can give you here is the same logic as the balanced saddlebags. Preparation before the route, not reaction during the disaster. Before climbing any mountain or entering any desert, check your healing tonic inventory. Craft them at home, in the right biomes, while you still have time and safety. Materials are common in these specific biomes, so farming isn't hard. The problem is never the availability of the resource. The problem is the player who leaves without preparing and discovers in the middle of the snow that their inventory is empty. Special arrows are one of those items that seem simple on the surface, but when you understand what they represent within the game, it completely changes how you play. They aren't just there to deal damage, they exist to force you to think like a true messenger of the steppes, a person who hunts with awareness, collects resources strategically, and never wastes what nature offers. The crafting system is incredibly accessible, which is a big plus. You use sticks and bird feathers in the C menu, materials you collect yourself by foraging across the map or hunting birds in open areas. The cool thing is that the game doesn't throw this in your face right away. Stone-tipped arrows and more advanced variations only appear after you unlock the full bow in the tutorial, which creates a very well-constructed organic progression curve. You grow along with your equipment, and that gives a sense of real evolution. The difference between using normal arrows and special ones is felt immediately in hunting and resource gathering. Common ones handle the basics, but they weren't meant to give you the best material return possible. Special arrows, depending on the variation you choose, are more efficient for certain types of prey, which means more feathers, more materials, and more crafting available in your inventory. The more you invest in this cycle, the more self-sufficient you become in the game's open world. And there's a detail I find fascinating in this whole system. The game uses special arrows as a bridge between two central elements of the experience: survival and conscious hunting. Khiimori doesn't want you to go out killing everything indiscriminately. It wants you to choose what to hunt, why to hunt, and how to hunt. Special arrows are basically the tool that transforms this philosophy into playable mechanics. Learn to farm feathers early, keep crafting active, and you'll realize that your inventory never stays empty when you need it most. If there is one item you need to have in your inventory from minute one, it's powder pouches. They're small, simple to get, and absolutely essential for your survival in the 13th century Mongolian steppes. Their primary function is to ward off predators, especially wolves, without you needing to engage in direct combat. And look, this is more important than it seems. This game isn't about being a warrior. You are a Yam messenger, and every unnecessary battle is energy wasted by your horse, cargo at risk, and progress thrown away. Powder pouches exist exactly to remind you of that. Sometimes the smartest move is the one that avoids the fight. Best of all is how you get this item. You get one at the start of the tutorial when an NPC gives it to you as part of the introductory quest. But if you want to farm them infinitely, just ride for a few minutes and look behind your horse, because the ingredients appear on the ground during the ride. It is literally a renewable and free resource. The game even shows you that you need to align the throw with the wind to maximize the effect, which adds a very interesting layer of strategy even to a seemingly simple item. Powder pouches are also part of a larger crafting system that connects bows, special arrows, and other items focused on survival and hunting. Don't think of them just as wolf repellent. Think of them as the symbol of the playstyle Khiimori wants you to adopt: preparation, intelligence, and respect for the environment. Those who learn to use this item early stop treating the game like an action RPG and start understanding what it truly is: a survival experience with a soul. Balanced saddlebags are one of those systems you ignore at the beginning and bitterly regret later. It's not an item you buy in a shop or drop from an enemy. It's a pure management mechanic that lives in your inventory all the time, waiting for you to pay attention to it. And when you don't, your horse pays the price. The concept is simple yet brilliant. Every item you carry has weight, and this weight needs to be distributed evenly between the left and right sides of the saddlebags. You open the inventory, manually move the items until the arrow turns green, and you're done. When it's in the red or yellow, your horse starts to stumble more frequently, and a stumble at the wrong moment can result in fatal injuries for the animal. Think with me. You're in the middle of a long route, far from any NPC, carrying an important delivery, and your horse starts to fail because of poorly balanced saddlebags. That's not just frustrating, it's a failed mission. What makes the system even more interesting is how it scales with your progress. As you rank up within the Yam Guild, you unlock larger saddlebags with more capacity. More space means more items carried, which is great, but it also means more attention is needed for balance. The game basically tells you that growth brings responsibility. Every saddlebag upgrade is a victory, but also a reminder that you need to be more organized than before. My main advice is to turn checking the saddlebags into a mandatory ritual before any long route. It's part of the preparation, just like checking the horse's stamina and the powder pouch inventory. The best Khiimori players aren't the ones who react best to problems along the way. They're the ones who never let the problems appear. A green saddlebag before leaving is the difference between a smooth delivery and a disaster in the middle of the steppe. Bandages are the type of item that seems too basic to worry about at first, but they quickly become one of the most important things in your inventory once you start facing longer routes and harsher environments. Snowy peaks, abrasive deserts, paths full of predators. Any of these situations can push your horse to the limit, and when its health plummets in the middle of a trip with no return in sight, the only thing that will save your delivery and your partner is a well-applied bandage at the right time. What makes this item special is precisely the flexibility in how you obtain it. You can simply buy them in villages as you pass through, which is great for those in a hurry who want to keep their stock full. But if you prefer the self-sufficient route, the craft is straightforward. Animal fat plus cloth. You get the fat by hunting wolves, bears, or other animals with your bow, which creates a direct connection to the hunting system we talked about before. Every wolf you take down isn't just a threat eliminated, it's also healing material for your horse. The survival cycle of this game is elegant like that. Using bandages happens through the horse care wheel, accessible via the O menu, and this detail is more important than it seems. You don't apply a bandage automatically. It's a conscious action, a moment where the game asks you to stop. Look at your animal's condition and truly care for it. This reinforces Khiimori's central philosophy. The relationship between rider and horse isn't mechanical, it's emotional. Every bandage applied is a gesture of responsibility toward the being that makes your journey possible. My recommendation is to never go out on a long route with fewer than 3 or 4 bandages in your inventory. It seems like overkill until the moment it isn't. The desert and snowy peaks specifically are the environments that most passively wear down the horse's health, so in these biomes, you will consume bandages even without entering combat. Combine this with the thermal healing tonics I mentioned before, and you have a complete survival kit for whatever weather the game throws at you. Preparation is everything in the Legend of Khiimori. Yam rank equipment is the backbone of progression, and unlike everything I've mentioned before, you don't craft it, you don't collect it off the ground, and you don't buy it with common coins. You earn it. Every piece of equipment unlocked through Yam rank is a direct trophy of your work as a messenger, concrete proof that you are no longer the beginner who left the tutorial not knowing what they were doing. This system is elegant because it transforms every completed delivery into something bigger than a simple mission accomplished. The mechanic is direct and rewarding. The more Yam deliveries you complete, the more your prestige rises, and as you advance through the ranks, new equipment automatically appears at traders or in the chest of your tent in the main village. The chest only unlocks after the tutorial, which serves as a perfect incentive for you to finish the introduction quickly and dive headfirst into the world. There is no alternative path, no crafting or farming shortcut. It is pure progress based on dedication, and the game makes sure to clarify that from the start. What makes the system so important is that higher rank equipment isn't optional for the more dangerous routes. It's mandatory. Trying to face extreme mountain passes or southern deserts without the proper gear is like walking into a boss battle without enough levels in a classic RPG. You will feel the difference immediately and painfully. Every new piece of equipment unlocked literally opens up parts of the map that were previously inaccessible, which gives a sense of the world expanding as you grow within the guild. What I like most about this system is the message it sends about the type of player Khiimori wants you to be. It's not the strongest warrior or the most skilled hunter, it's the most reliable messenger, the professional who accumulates prestige through consistency and commitment to the job. Every rank earned is another layer of identity within the game. When you finally unlock that piece of equipment you've been waiting hours for, the satisfaction is completely different from any item you simply bought. You know exactly what you did to deserve it. High-quality feed is the kind of resource that many people treat as a maintenance detail, but in practice, it works almost like a constant buff for your horse. In the Legend of Khiimori, stamina is everything. It's escaping a predator, it's a difficult climb, it's a delivery finished just in time. So when you keep this type of premium food in your saddlebags, you're not just feeding your mount, you're ensuring it continues to perform well even when the weather starts to take its toll. The most interesting side of this item is that it's born from your relationship with the game world. The most valuable part of the feed comes from resources foraged in wetlands, riverbanks, and canyons, especially those low plants with red berries. Hay, on the other hand, is an essential supplement, and you get it by either buying it in villages or collecting tall grass on the plains. I really like this idea because it reinforces the feeling of a prepared traveler's routine, someone who doesn't leave for a long route without first thinking about what the horse will consume along the way. In practice, the effect is very clear. When you offer this type of food frequently, the horse's mood rises and stamina recovery speeds up significantly. This makes a difference especially in hostile climates, where wear and tear happens faster and any delay in catching their breath can become a serious problem. It's one of those cases where the item doesn't seem explosive or flashy, but it sustains your entire journey behind the scenes. The more you play, the more you realize that much of your performance depends on this silent care. Personally, I see high-quality feed as an item of discipline, not emergency. Bandages and tonics come in when the situation has already gone south. Feed comes in to prevent it from going south in the first place. For this reason, I would treat this resource as a permanent inventory item, always stocking up before crossing difficult regions. In a game so focused on the bond between rider and mount, feeding the horse well doesn't just seem like a useful mechanic, it feels almost like a rule of respect for the companion that carries your entire campaign. Handling tools like brushes and scrapers are probably the most underrated items in the entire game, and at the same time, one of the most revealing about what the game actually is. At first glance, it seems like an aesthetic detail, a simulation mechanic that serves immersion more than gameplay. But once you understand that the dirt debuff directly affects the horse's performance, this simple little brush transforms into one of the most valuable tools in your inventory. Access is far too easy to justify any neglect. You already start with the tool in the tutorial, and if for some reason you don't have it, any village sells them cheaply. Application is direct through the care wheel, O menu, under the brush and hoof care options. When you use them, you remove the dirt accumulated from mud, dust, and difficult terrain, and the horse's mood rises instantly. It is one of the few mechanics in the game that offers immediate and visible feedback. You see the difference happen in real time, and this creates a very satisfying care loop. What makes the system stand out is the impact the horse's mood has on everything. A well-cared-for, clean horse with a high mood responds better to commands, recovers stamina more efficiently, and handles the adverse conditions of longer routes. The dirt debuff acts as a silent performance drain that builds up while you ignore it. Many people waste time trying to optimize saddlebags and stock tonics without realizing their horse is running with an active debuff the whole time, just for lack of a simple brushing. Grooming the horse every day has become a ritual for me, as natural as checking the balance of the saddlebags before a route. It's one of the simplest gestures in the game, but also one of the most meaningful. Khiimori isn't a game that gives you explosive power-ups or abilities unlocked by experience. It gives you responsibility. And the brush exists to remind you that caring for your partner every day in the little things is what makes all the difference when the road gets tough. Animal repellent is one of those items you don't realize how much you need until the day a specific mission puts you in the path of a bear and you have no way out. Like powder pouches, it represents the same core philosophy of the game. Avoiding direct confrontation is always the smartest move. But while the powder pouches work to scare off predators from a distance, the repellent goes one step further. It makes you invisible to beasts, literally allowing you to navigate infested areas without being detected. What I find brilliant about this item is the craft. Cloth plus dung. Yes, dung. The same stuff that falls behind your horse while you ride. That material you probably ignored for hours of gameplay, has a real and strategic use here. You combine it with cloth that already comes from the initial quest and craft it directly in the C menu. It's a resource that literally comes from the world around you, from the mount's routine, and transforms into a stealth tool that completely changes how you approach certain situations. The Cartographer's Quest is the perfect example of why this item needs to be in your inventory at all times. You need to reach the map pack without entering combat with the bear guarding the area. Without the repellent, this mission becomes a nightmare of trial and error. With it, you throw the item near the bear, pass by unharmed, and grab the pack without stress. It's one of those moments where the game directly rewards you for having paid attention to the crafting systems from the start and punishes those who ignored them. Thinking about everything we've seen so far, from powder pouches to handling tools, animal repellent fits perfectly into the identity that the Legend of Khiimori builds item by item. This game doesn't want you to be a combatant. It wants you to be a smart survivor, someone who uses the environment to their advantage, who prepares their inventory in advance, and who understands that the most elegant victory is the one where no fight was necessary. The repellent is, perhaps, the item that best summarizes this philosophy. Cartographer inks look like a secondary quest item, but I honestly see them as one of the most valuable resources for those who want to play intelligently. They don't make you stronger in the traditional sense of damage or defense, but they make you stronger in something that is worth gold in this game: route knowledge. And in a world where every trip can turn into a disaster due to weather, predators, or bad terrain, knowing the map better is practically a form of power. The most interesting thing about them is precisely this indirect effect. When you deliver these inks, you help expand your knowledge of the map, and this reveals shortcuts and secret points of interest. In practice, this means more efficient travel, less exposure to danger, and more chances to find useful resources along the way. I really like this type of reward because it speaks to the soul of the game. Khiimori doesn't treat information as a detail, it treats information as survival. Personally, I love it when a game transforms exploration into real progress, and Cartographer inks do exactly that. They give the feeling that the world is becoming less mysterious and more readable because you earned that understanding. It's not the map opening up for free, it's you deserving to see that territory better. And this completely changes the way you ride, because the route stops being just a path and becomes a conscious decision. If I had to describe the importance of this item in one sentence, I would say it trades brute force for strategic advantage. Instead of helping you overcome a danger on impact, it reduces the chance of that danger even happening. To me, this is the type of item that separates those who just cross the map from those who truly master the map. And in The Legend of Khiimori, mastering the path is almost always worth more than mastering combat.